Welcome back to Wondour. My name is James Hsu. I'm the CEO and co-founder of VRLU, a 360 virtual reality personal development entertainment platform. And today I have the esteemed pleasure. I got my brother and my business partner, Mr. Taylor Speegle, one of the co-founders and managing partners of Wondour.
Hello, James.
How you doing, brother?
I'm fantastic.
I am excited about today's topic.
I am too.
Okay, can I share a story with you?
Please.
Okay, so Donald Trump was asked, you're a multi-billionaire. If you lost your entire fortune, what would you do if you had to start over and you couldn't do real estate again? And then he looks at the crowd of everyone that was listening. He's like, you know what? I would do Amway. It's a network marketing, multi-level marketing, sometimes known as a pyramid scheme type of business. And everyone in the background was like, ha, 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 and everyone's laughing. And then he literally stands up and says, and that's why you're there and I'm here. And it's like, oh. So everyone's been asking me, and I wanted to ask you too, if you had to start all over, and you had to start everything over, how would someone, and yourself, get started in the tech field? Into the metaverse? How do we start that? It's knowing nothing. Like, I don't even know where you do start.
So I'll do my best to be objective on the matter. So I think one good question to ask first is, would I go into the tech industry again, right? And I think that the clear answer, right, as biased as it may be, is yes. If anything, from kind of 10 years ago when I really dipped my foot in going away from business consulting and finance, is the tech industry is only serving as a stronger and stronger role in everyday life. In every company, in every interaction that you have, it's continuing to permeate wider and wider across, where we are and where we're going. And that pace is accelerating, right? The prevalence of technology, the prevalence of, new innovations that in ways that you don't necessarily realize. And so the number of industries that are getting looped into that world of tech is just growing. So first and foremost, I would enter into the world of tech again. And I encourage everybody else to as well. And at least have some degree of familiarity. So kind of outside of the hypothetical, even if you don't want to go into tech, or if I were to do it all over again, you need to have a familiarization, right? Because even if you work for a large corporation and you're in your marketing, right? Well, how do you market these days? A foundational, if not the primary way you market is through digital mechanisms, right? And now that's even expanding into, okay, now you're having a digital footprint in virtual environments, the Metaverse, right? So everywhere that you are engaging, think of Yelp, right? Yelp has transformed, the whole way people review and decide where to go to eat or who to transact with is review based. And so it is absolutely everywhere. So at least get a familiarization. But if I were to kind of take that hypothetical and go back from the beginning, one thing is if you don't know anything about it, right? Change that simply by immersing yourself in everything that you can. So obviously YouTube and those types of videos are great for learning nomenclature, wording of what's going on in the industry, and playing with the devices. So obviously mobile, right? We all have a familiarity with mobile these days. So that one's kind of for most people, right, a checkbox. You download apps, use it every day, you have that familiarity. It's just kind of pausing there is, what are those technologies that you're already engaging with, that you are comfortable with and familiar with? And that could be a fantastic place to start if you want to make a career of it, right? Think of the apps that you use, and what are applications that you use, that you love, that you use every day, but you get frustrated by a lack of a feature, or you think, oh, this app's doing this app is doing this. Well, what if you actually just combined these two things? So look. One thing I would do is kind of start with that, right? So everybody has a phone. So from a distribution standpoint, that's fantastic, right? That's why mobile is still a dominant force, even with the ever-growing presence of virtual reality and those headsets and mixed reality headsets. Mobile is still king in a lot of ways, right? You have mobile web, browser access, and you have mobile applications. I would start with what I know, right? Or what I interact with the most. And so I'd go through that, right? And we've done that a lot, we've done that a lot in the past, is figuring out, one app that we're working on, just a little sneak peek into the future, is looking at how you manage and optimize the utilization of your credit cards. So how do you know if you're getting the right rewards, or how to maximize, what credit cards should I have? How do I better my finances? And that it stems from utilizing a bunch of, you have a bunch of applications, you have your Apple Wallet, you have nerdwallet.com, you have all of these different resources already, but as you go to use all of these things, you find like, well, it's too complex, right? So this app has way too much, it's overload. Or I kind of show it to like your parents and you realize that they can't even handle or fathom what's going on. Start there, and we've done that time and time again, and that's actually how I started, right? I started with an app idea. Hey, I think this would be a really cool idea. And then, does it exist? Looked on the App Store all over the place. Does it exist? If so, download them. Download the best ones, download the ones that come top of the search engine, get familiar with them and figure out, are they working? How are they working? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Is there an opportunity? So kind of recapping on that piece is dive into the world of tech, get familiar with the industry, and start with what you know or what you have access to. I think that's really where I would start. I would probably end up starting building mobile applications, go to tech events. So there's all these like meetup.com, and there's all these social events, and people are coming together both digitally, right? They're coming together online in chat forums. They're meeting up at, in almost any city I've ever been to, there is going to be a tech meetup event about something. So go to meetup.com, go to similar sites, find them, even if you have no idea what is going on, and sit there. And it's okay to be dumb. It's okay to be, have no idea what's going on. And it's okay to listen, hear how they're talking, hear how developers are talking, hear how businesses are talking, and feel free to ask questions. I think that's a surprising thing for people. Everybody likes talking about themselves and what they do and how they do it. And you just go there and you find the person that's talking about something interesting and be like, hey, what is it that you do? How do you do it? Why do you do it? That's another piece. So, work with the tech that you know, and then just go and meet people who are already doing it and doing it successfully and learn from them. And there are also a lot of really good solutions. So let's say you want to be more of a kind of developer or build my own stuff. Okay, so if you build a mobile application, it takes a team, right? You need somebody to be able to design the application, develop the front end of the application, develop the back end of the application. Learning how to code, there's a ton of free resources if you want to become a developer and you think that's up your alley. There's a ton of just, Google free coding school, and there are more platforms than ever for free education. This is not something you have to pay for to at least figure out if you want to code. I think that's a fantastic start as well. And if that's not your cup of tea, well, how do you, again, these meetup events, I need a CTO. How do I find a CTO? Well, go to a meetup event and talk to somebody. Find somebody you like and say, hey, I have a great idea, and I maybe you have a good design eye, but I have no idea how to code. That's how we started, right? Is myself and Dylan and one of our early partners, Travis, is I came from a business background, business, finance, marketing. That's what I was doing in the corporate world. Dylan was a designer, right? He was doing commissioned artwork and so on. And then Travis was a developer. And so we all came together. We all brought the pieces of who we are together, and we built an app. And we thought, hey, this is a good idea. I'd also say in terms of making money in the space, right? You have hustle and you have all these different pieces, but you don't need a unicorn product, and that's one thing people get kind of caught up as well as, you mentioned Donald Trump, right? And Mark Cuban had a similar scenario hypothesized, right? And he's like, look, I may not be a billionaire, right? If you take away all my money, odds of me becoming a billionaire, that's luck,
yep,
right? But me being a millionaire, I can
Absolutely.
do that. There's not even a question in his mind. It's like, I could become, millionaire. This is how I would do it. So to be a unicorn takes luck, right? We've had our own ideas where, we were a little later in the game or decided, maybe we're not best suited for that. And other companies went for it, went out, got funding. They became billion-dollar companies. And we encounter a bunch of people across the industry that have similar ideas to the billion-dollar ideas. But things just didn't pan out. Maybe they didn't have the right scenario. Maybe they didn't put in the grind time. But there's thousands upon thousands and thousands of websites, mobile applications, now even more so virtual reality applications. They're not making billions, they're not worth billions, but they're making tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. And the number of those applications that are out there is immense. So, what would you do? There's a lot of ways to make good money, not necessarily unicorn, billionaire money, but you don't need that to make an amazing living building really, really cool technology.
As I hear you sharing your story, it's funny to me because most people, when they see someone like you, or if you've seen other previous videos, you've seen Mr. Dylan, they look at the audience, looks at people like you guys and say, well, of course they know how to code. Well, of course they know how to play in the metaverse. Of course they know how to build in VR. When the reality is, at one point, you knew nothing. And it's just something you had to be willing to learn. I remember when we had been knowing each other for 5+ years, but then when we got together about VRLU, our virtual reality app, myself and all of my partners, our videographer, our creative director, our director of programming, we all had ideas of how to do it, but the reality is we didn't know how to film in 360. We didn't know how to do these things, and then you guys broke it down for us how to do it. And then next thing you know, 2.5 years later, we create 1,500 videos all in 360 VR. And now it's a very simple process, but at the beginning, there really was this 6-month learning curve that was quite horrendous,
Yes.
if you will.
Yeah, and that happens time and time again. I mean, take myself, right? I do not know how to code. And yet I am a managing partner of a technology company. But what do I know how to do? What am I interested in? And I lean into that. And then again, you immerse yourself in it. You ask a bunch of, you don't want to feel stupid, but you ask a bunch of stupid questions. You look at a lot of YouTube videos, free resources. You talk to people, and then you become the master, right? When you guys, kind of VRLU came and we partnered together, it was we knew a little bit about 360 videography, and we had done some of the work in the past, but then we did the best to kind of give you some inkling of how you might go about that, and then you took it and became the masters, right? And you have one of the largest catalogs, if not the largest catalog, of content in the world of custom videography in 3D 360, and you are now the experts. And how did that happen? There's hours, there's pain, there's again late nights of probably how do you patch these things together? Why the hell is there's line in the middle of a face? Yeah, it's like, what do I do about that? And you realize you have to go back and maybe you video over that. But those types of struggles are what makes you the expert. And before you know it, you look back and now somebody asks you a question, and you may not, at the moment you may not think I don't really know, and then you can talk for 35 minutes about it. You can talk for an hour about it. And you realize that you have actually become a person of value within the space. And especially in the world of tech and how fast it's moving, even if you don't think that you're an expert in it, you'd be blown away by the number of people that are less of an expert that could find tremendous value in the work that you do. And so going back to kind of the hypothetical question of, what would you do if you wanted to make a career out of this and took everything away, right? It is, once you immerse yourself in it, make mistakes, figure everything out, consulting, right? Helping other people, helping other people with their website, or proactively finding people that need help or recently got funding and are looking to build a team. You can very quickly become more of an expert than the average person, and there's value in that. And it's how you deploy that value. You can do it a lot of different ways, but there is value, and you really need to, again, get the education as best you can, and then go to every, call up businesses, go to every meetup event you can, talk to friends, talk to family, convince somebody that, hey, I can come in, just give me a day, I can come in and tell you everything that I can possibly tell you about whatever their industry is, this world of tech. And a lot of people are really welcoming and receiving of that because it can cause real impact on their business and their own knowledge set.
It's funny because, and I don't know if you agree, let me know how you feel about it. If this is an expert, and this is a novice just coming into the game, most of the time when I meet the person who's supposed to be this expert, you really realize most people are in the middle. They know some stuff, but they don't actually know too much. And then once you actually start conversating with them, especially if you're a newbie and you think you know nothing, you sit in on a few hours worth of conversations, all of a sudden you basically know what everyone's talking about. How many times have you sat with an enterprise company, literally an enterprise company, huge big company, and the people you're talking to don't really know much?
Way disturbingly frequently.
Yes. And these aren't startups, by the way. We both have our own stories about enterprise companies.
Yeah, and I will omit the names of these examples, but truly multi-billion-dollar companies that might do a variety of things, but you sit on the conversation and you realize these are just people who were given titles and pointed in a direction saying, hey, go do this. And they're kind of doing the same thing we just talked about, right? Going on YouTube, trying to figure it out. A lot of the times because they're given positions within the company, just because they've been there 10 years or 5 years, they actually kind of skip steps and think they know more than they actually do because, I'm sitting here at an enterprise company and we're a multi-billion-dollar company and I have a title and this is what I do. When in reality, they haven't, everything we just talked about, they haven't gone through really the steps of trial and error yet. They're figuring it out on behalf of the company. Even outside of the technology space, that's surprisingly prevalent. Again, kind of disturbingly prevalent, but just because somebody has a title within an organization, or an organization says they have a department that does what you're doing, you really dig behind the curtain, there's a tremendous amount of, kind of the positive spin, there's a tremendous amount of value that you can provide to more people than you think. Or if you want to, rather than being an entrepreneur, it's always fun to start a company, but even if you don't do that, if you're trying to get into a company within a position within a startup or within a corporation, understand that there's likely a lot of value that you can provide in the world of technology, because every company is trying to catch up, and often the people at the top of those organizations don't have a great understanding of what's going on.
So speaking of people are running to catch up, what do you think are the opportunities right now for VR, Metaverse related, people coming into the tech world? They don't know what they want to do, but they know they want to be in this immersive world. They want to make a statement. What are the opportunities right now that come in this industry?
With any emerging industry like this, you're not too late, right? You're not too late right now. And I would say if you're neutral coming in, okay, I could get into the world of kind of web, I could get mobile apps, where should I live? The world of metaverse and virtual reality and mixed reality, that is an incredible sector to be in, because its growth is going to be exponential. There was some degree of saturation in mobile, while technology there will change, it's kind of established. And just when the App Store launched, like imagine going into the App Store, year one when it launched, and maybe year two, right? Year three. People, year three might have been, I'm too late, I missed the boat. Now look where we are with the world of mobile applications.
Now people would be like, I wish I came in year three.
Yeah,
year five.
Year five, right?
Yeah.
And when we are at those very beginning stages of a type of technology with Web 3.0 and virtual reality and mixed reality, from a hardware and a software perspective, it's going to serve as such a large sector that anywhere you enter in that space, any degree of education or interest level, it's kind of like a bull market versus bear market, right? You can just ride the train of a bull market and look good in it, right? It's kind of the same thing with virtual reality, is just get in it, ride it, learn about it, immerse yourself in it. You can stumble along the way and you're still riding an upward trend. So I would just say in terms of choice, that is a phenomenal place to be, just given how much and how fast it's going to be growing in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years. It's mind-blowing. It's even hard for me to wrap my head around it, but as you hear new technologies emerging, or you kind of think of new scenarios or applications of how the metaverse could apply, you see entire industries shift, and you see entire industries disrupted as a result.
We got into VRLU. If I'm being honest, knew nothing about virtual reality. Don't know how to edit, don't know how to film, nothing. We owned a video production company and still do, but when it came to the 360 aspect, we knew nothing. We go through the learning curve, and then literally 2 years later, myself and our director of programming, Chasing, were invited to speak at this event in San Diego. There's a few billionaires there. There's a $1 billion company there, and here I am as the closing speaker for the entire event that each person paid $750 to attend. And and they literally announced me as the VR expert. And from my point of view, it's just like, wow, something I knew nothing about, and all of a sudden I'm being branded as the expert on something that, granted, 2 years is a long time we learned a lot, obviously, but still, it's never too late, because how long has virtual reality been around?
I mean, in some form or other, decades in some.
And I'm the expert, right? In 2 years?
And I think that's the pace. So VRLU, when did you start VRLU? How long ago?
October 2019.
Okay. And then, right, there were some people say, you could have the sense then that, virtual reality, am I too late to the game, right? If you look at where it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago to now, I mean, it's now everybody is talking about it. Everybody knows about it. Parents are hearing about it. You hear, Facebook changed its name to Meta, right, as a result. And you've seen just in a 2-3 year shift, enormous adoption, right? Virtual reality headsets like the Oculus, now Meta Quest 2, like #1 best-selling Christmas gift last year. There's, I think, some reports 50 to 60 million users in virtual reality.
Wow.
Are estimated, I think, for 2022, or somewhere around there. Globally, over 100 million. And that number is going to triple, quadruple, septuple in just the next few years. And first thing, a huge compliment and accolade to you and Chasing the entire VRLU team, because what you did was exactly kind of that scenario we talked about. Is we know, we have a great team. We want to get into the world of, the metaverse. We want to get in the world of virtual reality. We think there's a huge opportunity here. We see the benefits. Let's do it. right? And that was, the whole founding team, the investors, everybody getting in there just knew that this is where the market was going. And where did it go? It went exactly in that direction. And now you are an expert, a well-justified, a well-deserved expert in the field.
Which is crazy to me. You mentioned a buzzword earlier, so I wanted to tap on that real quick. Web3.
Yes.
There's different definitions, there's different variations of what people believe that is.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor, what is it?
So we're living in the world of Web 2.0, right? This is Web 3.0. So it's the next evolution of what the internet is, and that actually plays, think of it, one way to think about it, and kind of I do mentally, is 3D internet, right? Adding a different level of dimensionality and connectivity to what the internet is today. And that ties to the metaverse as well, right? So, there is no, and there necessarily won't be one metaverse, right? Like one company, one app that you download and that represents the metaverse, and I go in there and everything is in there. You're gonna have a variety of headsets that allow you to access, the metaverse, AKA kind of Web 3.0, right? Going in and searching various companies and discovering content, buying content, purchasing content, interacting with other people. Just think about what you do on the internet today. You go and you browse and you search and you shop and you plan your next trip. Or you go on to chats and, going back to, AOL Instant Messenger days and now going through video conferences.
What was your AIM screen name?
God, I can't even remember.
Mine was Rareware.
Rareware?
Yeah.
I like that one.
Thank you.
That's a clean brand. And you're going to see the same, and you're seeing it today, right? You're seeing versions of what we do in, kind of a combination of the real world with that kind of three-dimensionality. That was kind of translated to a two-dimensional screen, a two-dimensional plane, right? People meeting up now, video conferences, Zoom, right? You're in a two-dimensional environment, but you're trying to talk and you're trying to converse. Well, what is kind of Web 3.0 is we'll take that same principle of productivity and conversation, bring it to a virtual environment. And you can have various apps that allow you to engage with Web 3.0, but you now have an enormous degree of human interaction, right? I can sit down with you, I can see your head move, I can see your head bob, I can see lighting, reflecting off of your avatar. That's going to be elements of what Web 3.0 is just actually, I think, kind of more bringing a more human element to what the internet has brought us today.
So Tesla, I think, is a good example because Tesla, most people will probably think it's an automotive company, but the statistics is, one, they're the largest robotics company in the world, and such much of Tesla and Elon's value is because of their technology.
Yeah.
Their cars, of course, are amazing, but obviously anyone can make a car. But it's their technology and their sufficiency of what they do using the technology and their self-driving, their FSD, that makes them so valuable. So when someone's coming in, Taylor, into the tech world, how do they determine what section to play in?
So Tesla is a beautiful example. They'll also potentially be one of the biggest players in car insurance, right? Because they have so much data that Progressive or Geico just simply doesn't have about crash ratings and individual driver profiles. So data has driven a huge portion of who they are and technology. And I think it's also a good example of whether you are wanting to start a company as an entrepreneur, or find a company to join as an employee and a contributor, or if you own an existing company, right, mid-sized company, large enterprise company. No matter the industry that you're in, right, you could be a clothing company, you could be a travel company. The key is position yourself as a technology company in whatever your industry is in, right? Or a technology, expert from within your position within a given company. That's what's really going to position you as a company, right? Or if you're joining a company, make sure they have that as part of their mantra, because making that decision to become a technology company, no matter who you are, no matter what company and organization you are, allows you to create a competitive advantage that basically puts you at a very key strategic advantage, short-term, medium-term, and long-term, to disrupt those who are not. We've worked with companies in the marketing space and supply inventory space. Very basic or classic organizational structures where people order goods through them, they deliver the goods, and they help source all of those goods from internationally across the world. From China, they ship it over, they make sure it goes in a warehouse. Very boring stuff when you just say it on the outside. But we work with them to shift their mantra to become a technology company within that space, and they are already seeing huge gains and huge competitive edge over their classic competitors that are living 10, 15, 20 years ago, even just looking at their websites. And so that shift is going to be hugely valuable. So I would say, first thing, whether you own the company or whether you're joining the company, make sure they are a tech company and part of no matter what they do. And then the beauty of that is any industry you're interested in, you have the opportunity to join, right? If you are a travel nut, huge number of technology companies that exist or companies that exist that can have a huge technological sway. I think that's fantastic. There's amazing innovations coming down in that sector as well. So you have a buffet of companies that you can join that have a focus in technology, and then from within there, right? So you don't have to be a developer, right, an engineer to be in the world of technology, right? As we talked about before, I'm not a developer myself, but my background was in finance and business operations and strategy, and so my role within the organization is to figure out, okay, what technologies are coming down the pipeline, how can we implement those, what are the revenue models that we can implement as a result, utilizing and leveraging technology, and where do we think the industry is going, how should I change my business knowing that's coming, and from a talent pool and a team perspective, who should we be recruiting and bringing on board as a result. And so kind of in summary of where should you enter is, what are your interests from an industry perspective? What are your interests in even traditional ways, right? Do you like coding? Are you more kind of data centric? There's a lot in data analysis. Are you within marketing? No matter what you traditionally are interested in, just make sure that where you're entering or how you're going about that position has the technological spin or edge on that decision.
Taylor, something interesting again about technology is the story of Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes. So, and it goes into what you're talking about, where that again was a technology company. She's like, I made this box, it's going to do all these amazing things, and that obviously didn't go the way she had hoped.
That's a great example of good principles, but maybe not what to do exactly. Yeah, and the valuations ballooned, right? Because it was an industry where the story was there, right? Okay, this is a story where you have an incredible opportunity of innovation that impacts every single human being with blood running through their veins. And so everybody jumped on that, and that was one of those where you have a whole separate sector of fundraising, right? And you have one trusted investor and other trusted investors trusting those investors, and then it ballooned into a catastrophe. But while it's a story of what not to do, it's a story of where investors are excited, right? Because those are the people that are looking into the future of where they think that technology can completely transform an industry. So I think there's I think there is some good to be taken from that story, and obviously a cautionary tale and some fun recent docuseries that came out.
Yeah, not to pitch shows, but if you haven't seen the Hulu series, watch it, and then the new movie that's slated to come out with Jennifer Lawrence, I'm sure is going to hit up different elements. But it is interesting, Taylor, because you could go into an industry, tech, not know anything, but with the right pitch, you can really not even just get thousands, 100,000, millions, billions of dollars in this particular scenario to invest into this idea, because that's how powerful the tech industry is right now and will continue to be as we continue to grow hardware, software, and grow these fascinating ideas that people do have right now in their heads that no one else may be thinking. Mm-hmm.
And storytelling, right? Just touching on that is where do we get into the world of tech and how do I enter is, if you can tell a good story, those people are becoming increasingly valuable, whether it's on the marketing side and how do you tell a story on, Instagram or an ad there. But if you're wanting to start a company, how do you tell the story of how that technology will interface with that whole market? How is that going to change people's lives? How is that going to grow and scale into the future and transform industries? That storytelling ability is huge. We've seen that in huge kind of those unicorn stories that do happen. It's if you dig into the weeds and you actually find, okay, this was their pitch deck and you found their pitch or you talked to them afterwards, there's a great storyteller amongst their leadership team that was able to tell a story that was compelling and captivating that investors couldn't stop thinking about. And that just compiles on itself. You get your first check, you get your second check, and it balloons and balloons, and hopefully goes the way of companies not quite like Theranos. Hopefully you're doing a little more good in the world there, but at least it was good in spirit.
I don't know if you saw on Showtime, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he played the founder of Uber, and how they disrupted the taxi driving industry. But again, their evaluation isn't based on the idea, it's based on, again, tech and using this tech.
And that's because tech's ability to exponentially shift and grow industries. You see it time and time and time again where technology will insert itself into an industry where maybe it's underserved in some capacity and completely change how that industry can operate. And I would say for the better, right? It's not they're coming in, disrupting and ruining an industry. It's because an industry can, with embedding technology as part of its core, can vastly improve upon itself at a pace never before expected. And so that's a good thing, right? But where it becomes a difficult thing is the old kind of Kodak example where they get left behind because of digital cameras. It's that where you don't want to get stuck in the classic Kodak example. And that's where you just need to be on top of your game, right? And understand whether you are an employee working for a company, you need to make sure that if you want longevity there, right? Make sure that their values and their decisions are being skewed towards at least a respect of technology and its role and influence. And you don't have to be a technology development company to be able to be involved. And it will absolutely shift so many things in what we do in an exciting and progressive way.
It's crazy because as you're talking, all I hear is how Blockbuster should have been Netflix, Kodak should have been Instagram. Kodak is not a technology, like you just said, they're not, but they should have had, someone should have came in and really said, hey, we can be this idea of an Instagram, taking great Kodak photos, you know, the branding was already there, but not taking advantage of timing and place and where we are in the marketplace.
Yep. And you're going to see it. It's going to continue. And I think where opportunities sit are where are industries that is just happening to, where industries that has yet to happen, even down to the granular level of where are, even software and mobile applications, virtual reality applications, where its true potential has yet to be fully leveraged. So that's where the opportunity sits. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, knowing it's inevitable, it comes across every industry, it will continue to do so at an ever-increasing pace.
Thank you. I love it. Gets me jacked. If you haven't joined our community yet, you can ask Mr. Taylor Speegle anything you want. All you have to do is text him at our number in community at 702-602-8802 and text him any question you want, and myself or Taylor will answer that in the next video series, or he'll actually reach out to you directly, and we'd love to just talk with new people and talking about technology.
Absolutely, we love it.
Too much fun. If you haven't already liked this video, we would appreciate it. The YouTube gods will help us out with the algorithm. Share this video with anyone who also has passion for tech, and we would love to just build this community together and really get all these fascinating ideas and minds together in the tech world. So exciting times. And until our next video, thank you, Taylor.
Thank you, James.
We'll see everyone soon.